Does Kylian Mbappe make Real Madrid worse? Let's talk about it. Now, of course, this appears a very stupid statement. It is almost like when last season, when Haaland wasn't doing the greatest, that people even said that Haaland made Manchester City worse, which again is stupid. But in the last week or two, you've seen this comment said quite a bit. So I wanted to go into this idea and try to find out if this makes any sense. Let's start with skimming down the main picture here. When you look at the stats, has he done well? Well, stats-wise, he's done pretty good. 10 games, 7 goals, and 1 assist, with 5 in La Liga, 1 in Champions League, and 1 in the Super Cup. Real Madrid in the league is also not doing that bad. They're second. They're only 3 points behind Barcelona, so simply 1 game behind them. And in the Champions League, they have just lost against Lille away. This ends Real Madrid's 36 games unbeaten streak in all competitions. Their run is over. However, the fact that they went 36 games unbeaten, does it make you feel like there should be any questions of Mbappe is making Real Madrid worse? Long before Kylian Mbappe's move to Santiago Bernabeu, there was debate around one simple question: how would he fit into this Real Madrid team? And let's get into it. So comment down below your thoughts about Kylian Mbappe, and do you think he'll be a Ballon d'Or winner in the next 3 years? I mean, if he's playing for Real Madrid, they're likely going to win a Champions League in the next 3 years, almost guaranteed at this stage. And if he scores quite a few goals, it almost feels inevitable. Like, subscribe, and Vizeh designs for the best football prints, all made by myself. Use code Halloween for 17% off all items for this month. And let's get into it. When Mbappe was announced at the Santiago Bernabeu, 80,000 fans was in attendance, and it went absolutely perfectly and looked like what you'd expect from a player at Real Madrid. A Galactico, self-confidence, and a healthy amount of ego. Now, Mbappe did start his La Liga life quite slowly. He didn't score a single goal up to his first 4 games in La Liga, which is seen as a bit of a concern for a player clearly as good as Kylian Mbappe. And what is this reason of why people don't believe that Real Madrid are really playing that well? The issue may be the balance of attack. So the main issue is Real Madrid's second best player is Vinicius Jr. Now, the main issue is Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe both appears to play in the same position. This means that Vinicius Jr. is a left forward, therefore he's much more likely to start on the left-hand side and drift inwards to the pitch to score goals. He's not a winger. You can imagine him somewhat similar to a mold of, let's say, like a Sadio Mane, in terms of like an inside forward. His job is to score goals and not exactly to create. This means that he often runs and drifts inwards to the pitch. And the issue is Mbappe is almost a very similar type of player. Despite him starting as a number 9 for Real Madrid, he has a very similar trait to the likes of Vinicius Jr., where he often drifts to the left-hand side and then aims to run inwards, doing very similar things to Vinicius Jr. It is really as simple as both Vinicius and Mbappe likes to cut inside on their right foot from the left-hand side. However, there's not enough space for them both to do that at the same time. And this happened when he played for France at the World Cups, where he plays a number 9, but realistically drifted to the left-hand side. And where at PSG, Neymar would typically not be as attacking and be a lot more central. And speaking of PSG, one main critique of Mbappe is that despite him, of course, being a world-class talent, in terms of his work rate on the pitch, football has changed. And you can't have too many players that is seen as a luxury player where they have to work as hard as everyone else. Now, Real Madrid last year was pretty much at their best without the ball. We're very happy to have 11 men behind the ball to then hit them with incredibly efficient counterattacks with the quality and the pace that they absolutely have. Now, this wasn't perfect. Typically, Vinicius was the one that may be a little bit lazier in terms of that press, but they got away with it if there's at least one player that can be seen as a bit of a luxury player. But to have 2 of them, it makes it completely unbalanced. And this lack of interest in defending by Mbappe and Messi and Neymar is seen as the main reason why that never really worked, as in theory Neymar, Mbappe and Messi should be a trio of dreams. However, this isn't FIFA. You've got to work as a unit on both sides of the pitch, and that didn't work at PSG for that reason. This is also why Mbappe, that kind of played on the left hand side for France, was then put inwards, because his reluctance of tracking back led them massively prone and exploited on that right hand flank. Now, does this mean that Mbappe is lazy? I don't think it's as simple as that, but he clearly is not someone that is too interested in that. And what about ego? Well, to be a great player, you need to have some ego. Of course you do. And that's why people compare Mbappe in a similar mode to a Cristiano Ronaldo, where that ego stands by itself. You back yourself. And Ronaldo, many times, despite many critiques about his personality and his ego, he always showed up. Now, Mbappe, he has done that at times, of course, the World Cup final in 2018 and that entire campaign in itself. But there are some times that he's found wanting here. Now, PSG, Mbappe was definitely seen as bigger than the club. He controlled narratives by himself at PSG. However, if any club in the world is more suited to allow someone who is seen as a Galactico, it would be Kylian Mbappe at Real Madrid. Surely, that would be the perfect combination. But I don't think that's what they really are anymore, having a star man like that. Because of Mbappe, this now means that Jude Bellingham has now dropped deeper. Bellingham was so effective as a sort of number 10 turn striker. Now he's dropped much more deeper, which means that he's no longer as effective. And when it comes to crosses into the box, they're not really that efficient either without that figurehead inside, as Bellingham is much more better in aerial duels. Now, they do play Rodrigo on the right-hand side, which, again, Rodrigo really is more of a natural left winger, but he can play as a right winger. He's just not too comfortable there. But it now means that he's got a lot more space if Mbappe and Vinicius are covering more on the left-hand side. Even if you have incredible players at the same team, you're not guaranteed success. For example, that Real Madrid team in the early 2000s had so many great names, but they didn't really win that much. They weren't that great in the Champions League, and in terms of La Liga, they didn't win all too much either in that entire David Beckham era. They won, of course, but not as much as you would have expected with the names they had on show. In terms of other issues, people, of course, point at the likes of Toni Kroos, of course, no longer being there. That could be playing a factor in terms of their lack of control in games and moving the ball forward. And there is an idea that Real Madrid are relying too much on individual quality to get them over the line in games, other than really playing as a structured unit in comparison to last year. So all of this has come together with the idea that Mbappe could be making Real Madrid worse. Due to his position maybe nullifying the effectiveness of Vinicius Jr., because of him now playing up top also means that Jude Bellingham is now dropping deeper, so now he's not as effective into the game either. But saying that, he still scored 7 goals in 10 games. However, he's not played great in those games. And, I mean, they're second in the league. So this is why there's a conversation of Mbappe maybe making Real Madrid worse. Do you think this is just as much nonsense as people saying that Haaland also made Manchester City worse because of his style of play? You tell me down below in comments. So that's why this is going on, and I thought it was interesting to talk about. So see you next time.